I know to do architecture, your maths has to be good. You need to be good at math. Do they have to take elective maths from the beginning?
We go into real estate blindly. Basically, when you want to put up a structure or you want to put up a structure for public use, not your personal use, you need to do a lot of research.
If I'm renting and I want to go into building, how do we do this? How do you ensure that I'm able to put my 3-bedroom house together?
Somebody might have a 3-bedroom house. Might want a 3-bedroom house, but maybe he wants it on a half plot.
So there are instances where you have to tell the client that, this piece of land and what you're looking for doesn't really work.
It doesn't work.
It's been 3 months on the journey with the ABC show, and we want to say a big thank you for all of you who have come so far with us. Currently, only 35% of you who watch our videos or watch our interviews have subscribed. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so. This will allow us to improve the interviews and also improve the list of people that we put on the show. Do so and join us on our next interview. Thank you. Hi, Priscilla. Welcome to the ABC show.
Hi.
All right. So I know you've been practicing for about a decade now, but I want to understand what influenced your decision to become an architect.
I'm good with art. I did visual arts in my high school. I went to Accra Girls Secondary School. And from there, honestly, I had no idea I would be an architect. Let me just be very honest. I wanted to be a graphic designer. But I don't know, I kind of developed a little bit of passion for architecture. There are a lot of things, interesting aspects of it. And I felt, well, it would be an interesting course to really tackle on. So then I told my parents about it and I got an admission at Central University. So that's where the journey started. Yeah.
All right. I mean, let's tie with an arts project we're doing in a number of secondary schools across Accra.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation with these visual art students, and we were telling them that if you study visual art, you could become an architect. And most of them said they were not aware that that was an option that anybody could consider.
Yeah.
Did you have this in mind before the time was due for you to move to tertiary, or it came after, the whole architecture thing came after secondary school?
Honestly, it came after secondary school. I wanted to be a painter. I won't lie to you. I love art. I wanted to be full-time into graphic design. But as at that time, that kind of job wasn't really selling. And it was something that my parents were a little bit they had the questionable reasons for that, because it's like, how are you going to make an income at that time
Being
as
a graphic
an artist
designer,
or a graphic designer?
Or being an artist.
So then I was like, okay, why not architecture? I saw a Central University advert on TV. I was like, okay, I think I would want to try this thing out. And they were like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm interested. I want to go to Central University and try it out. So that's how come I'm an architect now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I happen to be married to an architect, so
Okay.
I appreciate the profession.
Yeah.
Quick one. I mean, moving into the whole building space in Ghana. I mean, the last time I checked, the housing deficit in Ghana was about 1.8 million houses. But I also see a number of houses that are not completed. And I'm asking myself, what is the problem? Is it just the economy, or is the fact that these people are not being advised properly by the architects, or they don't even consider the architect when they are done with the design?
So it basically has a lot of factors. The economy has a role to play. The financing, wherever you are getting your finances from, has a role to play. The cost of building materials. It has a lot of factors, but our major factor is we don't do the right market analysis when we are putting up structures, especially when we want to build and sell. We need to determine the target group and all that. And when it happens like that, you end up investing a lot of money, or you're getting a lot of people to invest, but you are not able to market the property to go the way you want it to go. Then it ends up becoming a white elephant. You are not able to complete because nobody's willing to pay money or do a part payment for you to complete the project. And it ends up sitting there for a very long time. without you being able to complete it, and it becomes a white elephant. And most of the time, most investors end up running at a loss because of the poor market analysis and all that. Yeah.
So I remember when I was in secondary school, and I mean, I grew up in Medina. You take the Medina taxi round stretch. After EcoBank, there used to be a boutique. Then there's a place where they sell hair products and all that. This gentleman just put out some pillars and then put up shops for rent. And that was almost 20 years ago. The last time I used that stretch, I still see the pillars there with shops for rent, because I think the idea was that I have pillars. It looks like shops are coming up, so I'm going to rent, take people's money, complete, and then use that money that I take as rent to finish it.
Yeah.
Would it have been advisable that they probably take that money, do one shop, rent, use the money that comes from the rent, and do another? And that goes back to the buildings that are hanging, that are not complete.
Yes.
What approach could they have used?
So the thing is, we go into real estate blindly. Basically, when you want to put up a structure, or you want to put up a structure for public use, not your personal use, you need to do a lot of research. And this research comes into where you need to research to meet the consumer's needs, to also market for the consumer to be interested in buying whatever you are putting up or renting whatever you are putting up. This is where as you were saying, your client your person just looked around and was like, oh, there are shops going on around here. Let me put up a shop. That is not a proper market research. You need to find out, okay, who am I appealing to? Am I appealing to this particular group of people? Okay, let me market to this particular group of people. They would be interested to invest in whatever property I'm putting up around that particular area. And from there, you can have your full budget. The client who is invested in the budget, because he or she has paid a lot of money. He wants to see the results and move in and come and do whatever business he or she is interested in doing with your property. So with all that, we need to just consider, sometimes it's not just what you see around. You need to ask questions. What would you love us to put up here for you? Would you love us to put a shop or an apartment? Which one works for you? If the majority says apartment, you go with apartment. Now, then you determine what kind of apartment are we putting up? Is it a luxury apartment or just a simple type of shop? So with that, I'll advise that you need to do a proper market research. Make sure a client has invested, whoever you are marketing to has paid at least, if it's not 40% of the total budget, the total cost of whatever you are putting up in your COFEX. Then from there, you know that, okay, the client has committed. Whoever I'm building for is interested. So you can put up your structure and you have a success with that.
All right, so I'm here.
You don't put it up, then you wait for clients to come. They won't come.
Because I'm here thinking that you have your land, you want to design, and you want my money to build. Me as an individual who has money, I don't think I'll go for something of that sort. Yes. Which is what I think the property owner was trying to do. Put up pillars, take my rent, finish it up. The next 2 or 3 years, the rent goes after using my money to build. Yeah. Now, currently, if I'm renting and I want to go into building my own house, let's say I want to do a 3-bedroom house, and I need to use the service of an architect. What kind of information do I need to go to the architect with, and how do we do this? How do you ensure that I'm able to put my 3-bedroom house together?
So first of all, you need to know as a client what exactly you want. You want a 3-bedroom house. That is not just, or maybe you want some additional facilities or ancillary facilities in addition to that 3-bedroom house. So maybe you want a 3-bedroom house with a pool. You want a walk-in closet. You want a lot of landscape. All those things determines or gives the architect a direct or precise understanding of your brief. From there, the architect will sit down, okay, this is what my client wants. This is how I'm going to go about it. Yes.
So
basically, the client's brief is very important.
Okay. So I tell you what I want, and that is enough for us to start. Yes. For you to start your work once we agree on a fee.
Yes.
Usually, I see a lot of shops around which I don't think are owned by architects, but I see that they seem to have a lot of people using them And the story is told of people seeing a house somewhere. They see this house, it looks nice, they come and point it to you.
Yeah.
You see this house,
Yeah.
I want the same thing, not knowing how the house looks inside.
Yeah.
Is it expensive to use an architect? Would you say it's expensive to use an architect compared to going someone by the roadside?
It's money worthwhile. I won't say it's cheap, but it's something, it's value for money. Because for you to use somebody by the roadside to do your design for you and later have issues, and also for you to use, comparing it to using an architect who will give you the professional advice you need to have a successful project, a completion of project, I'll say that it's money worthwhile.
You know, when I asked a question about what I need to come to you with if I want to build a 3-bedroom house, you spoke about my brief or my design brief. I mean, usually in most projects, you need to know what the client wants. Do you need to visit my land? In the neighborhood where I stay, I've seen houses where now the road is higher than a house. Recently, I was walking around my office area. I saw a house coming up. I could tell for a fact that whichever architect designed that building hasn't seen the nature of land the person is building on. Because I've seen another house spring up around where my kids go to school. And from the way they handle the foundation, you could tell that, yes, there's an architect on this project, or whoever is managing the project knows what they are about.
Yeah.
What do you need to do? Are you okay with just me coming with a site plan, or there are things that you need to do? Are there other people that you need to bring on board to make sure that you give me what I need? Because unlike doing a wardrobe for me that if I don't like, I can dismantle and do something. And a house, once you build, I can't pick it up. What do we do?
So most of the time, let me say this as a personal thing. Anytime a client comes to me for a design, this is what I do. I normally ask them for the site plan first. If I'm able to check the site plan and wherever the locality is, I'm not too familiar with the terrain over there, I insist on going there. With that, I get to see whatever is within the environment, the surrounding buildings or surrounding environment close to the land, the terrain of the land, the type of soil you have, and also it's more or less like an analysis. It's an indirect analysis most clients don't know that we do. It's an indirect analysis. So it helps us design according to that terrain, and also the wind direction is also very important. That's also one reason you as an architect should have to visit the site, because the wind direction will determine the orientation of your doors, windows, and all that. At times, electricity costs and all that. We need to cover all those things. So that's also a factor, a major factor. Yeah.
All right. So you've gone to see the land, you've come up with a design, and then I'm building. I have a budget of say 300K. Then I realize I probably can't raise the 300K. Do I raise everything to whatever point I can get to and decide that when I get money I continue, or there are key parts that I should do, and do I do them in specific arrangements? What do you advise? Because I see a lot of houses. Some, they have the wood on it to do the roofing. It's been there for years. You have to change the roof. Some, they've cast a part of it. It's still, what should we do?
So this is where we also come in as professionals. We advise you on how to go about the construction. We ask, okay, what's your budget? Oh, I have maybe 300,000 or 250,000, maybe 150,000. Per the cost of the total project, we know that, okay, you can complete your foundation with 150,000. Then we come in with an advice. Okay, first of all, you need to finish the foundation. When you are done, just go on a break. With whatever change you have left, just relax. Go on a break. Gather some more money and we can continue. Because if with some stages of the construction, you should continue and you pause, with time, you realize that your materials will start deteriorating, which is very bad. That's a double cost for you, the client. So we would advise you on how to go about it. Okay, let's do the foundation and pause. You can go in for like 6 months, come back again. We'll do the block laying columns to lintel. Then maybe if it's going more than one floor, I'll advise you to flow it. So whatever budget you have, maybe if you spent 150,000 cedis for foundation, and from block laying to the slab work or lintel will cost you another 150,000. I'll tell you that go back and gather 150,000, come back, and we can continue from there. so that you don't end up losing or having your materials being deteriorating with time because of our climatic conditions and all that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you recommend that we build in stages.
In stages.
And these
yes.
stages are
Yes.
so you do the
Yes.
the foundation. When you talk about foundation, usually people dig like once the trenches are dug. Is that foundation
No,
or where do you
no,
get
that's
to?
not, that's just a stage of doing the foundation works.
Okay.
The foundation works is to you finally do the cast and the flow.
Okay.
You do your block laying. After digging, you do your block laying, do the column matting and all that. Then from there, you do your flow. After the flow, you know that, no matter how much rain it falls or falls on it, you know that you are safe because nothing is going to be collapsing or sinking anywhere. You don't have any cement being wasted somewhere because of weather conditions and all that. You don't have any blocks breaking or looking old after some time. Okay. With that one, you know that you've performed what you have to do with your budget and you will not run at a loss, even if it's 6 months to a year. Yeah.
So I have a piece
Depending
of
on
land.
the quality of the foundation.
Depending on the quality of the foundation. Yes. So there's a piece of land somewhere that I've gone to see, and everybody there is waiting for the raining season to go for them to bring materials aside. Yeah. And I'm asking whether this terrain requires the same kind of foundation compared to a place that is probably sandy and dry throughout the year.
So we have different types of foundation for different terrains. So if you visit an architect or a professional, an architectural professional who advise you on the type of foundation to use for your type of terrain, we have different types. We have examples like the pad foundation, the raft foundations. We have different types. That's for the structural engineers to delve into. But we have different types for different terrains. Yeah.
Okay. I have also seen, I mentioned that in my neighborhood there are some areas where the road is now higher than the houses. If you're driving across the Somanya stretch, you realize that most of the houses are beneath and the road is really actually up. What should people consider when they are building an area where the roads haven't been done? What should they just decide on how many blocks they want to lay as their foundation, or this is guided by something that you do as an architect?
First of all, there's something I would like to state. Before you get to your piece of land, you need to create access. The access is very important. Secondly, you need to also consider future development, not just for yourself, but for your surrounding neighborhood. So when you are planning to put up a foundation, you need to consider the fact that, okay, right now, for example, if wherever you are building, the road has not been tarred, there are no gutters done and all that. After creating your access to your land, you need to consider the fact that in the near future, they will come and that place will develop with time, which is something that is inevitable. Development is always going on. So you need to design to fit the development that will come in the near future. Okay. Thus, considering the height of your foundation and all that for drainage solutions and all that. Yeah.
Okay. So depending on the area, that will determine the nature of the area will determine the height of your foundation.
Not really the height, but the type of foundation.
The type of the foundation.
Yes.
And the type includes height and all that.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's basically the type because I can't use a foundation I will use for a waterlogged area for a stony area.
Okay.
A place with a rough terrain. I can't use that same foundation. It wouldn't work. Yeah.
So lately we all know that it's expensive to build in Ghana. I mean, if you had a budget to do a 2-bedroom house, say last year, this year I doubt that will be able to give you your 2-bedroom house. Yeah. But then I also find that almost everybody who wants a house, everybody's going in for a lot of glass. Everybody's going for brick and mortar. But I mean, where I grew up, we stayed even though it wasn't a complete mud, there were parts of the houses that, our kitchen, I remember, had mud. And it was cool to be in. And that's how our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers used to build. There's a story also told of the fact that when our colonial masters wanted to introduce cement to us, they then changed our building codes to asking that we use cement and all that. When they were using wood, and they were getting most of the wood from us, but they introduced cement to us. why have we stuck to that? Why are architects still designing brick and mortar buildings?
Because it's the most accessible to us.
Okay.
It's easily accessible. Getting cement is easy. Getting blocks is easy. Getting iron rods is easy. So we work with what we have access to. But there are other building alternatives where most of us professionals, some of us or most of us know about it. It's about the ram death. It has to do with the madhouse system, which has been modified into a new building technological system. So that's also an option. So most of the time we work with what the client wants. That's the thing. At times the client will come, oh, I want this and this. I want a glass. I want full glass. What we can do to support to support the client as a professional is advise on what the do's and don'ts as an architect or architectural structure being put up, the do's and don'ts, and also try to kind of liaise with the client to make sure that whatever the client wants, he or she gets it and feels good about it at the end of the day. So it depends on the client. You might have a client who will come in and be like, oh, I want a madhouse design. Can you do that for me? That's also an alternative way of building.
Okay.
So it's about the clientele and what they generally want and how we can make sure that we can fit whatever they want within their budget and make it work for them. Yeah.
All right. So if I hear you very well about the preferences, it's more about what the client wants. It's also about their budget.
Yes.
And the fact that brick, mortar, cement
so accessible to us. Yes.
The issue of bricks also comes up, and there are concerns that yes, it's a bit expensive to build with bricks. Yeah. I mean, comparing bricks to more of cement, what is your assessment?
So is it blocks or bricks? Bricks. Bricks are expensive because it goes through a lot of processes for for us to achieve what we get as a brick. So with that, it takes a lot of effort, manpower, and all that. That's what makes it super expensive. That's the thing. But so they normally associate bricks building to somebody who is affluent and like comfortable in life. Unfortunately for us, or fortunately for us, we have a better or a good solution to that. That's the ram debt. The ram debt is basically just our normal clay sand with an aggregate of cement, a little bit of gravels, a little bit of water, just poured into a formwork, just like the way we do the concrete, but it's not as muddy as the concrete works.
Okay.
And we just ram it. And with that one, you don't need a lot of professionals to come on board. You can teach the locals, our local people to do that. And it's much more innovative. With bricks, because it goes through all those processes, it's a little bit expensive because the material cost is more than the final product.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what makes it super expensive. Yeah.
All right. But then the argument is also made of the fact that if you use bricks, you don't need to plaster or render, you don't need to do painting and all this thing, so you end up saving costs on...
Eventually, with time, you would need to do maintenance. I would say that when it comes to building, eventually, you will do maintenance. The whole thing is about how fast or how the period, how much maintenance you need to do periodically, okay, and how long it will take for you to do that maintenance. But eventually, you need to do maintenance. Even if it sits for 10 years, you end up doing maintenance.
All right.
Yes, it's about the period, the intervals of maintenance you need to do here.
So, if I'm a client coming to you with just the fact that I want a 3-bedroom house and I leave that to you to design, what process do you go through in coming up with a design?
So basically we consider the site plan.
Okay.
We consider the terrain and all that. And we also consider the client's brief into details and also the floor area. Somebody might have a 3-bedroom house. Might want a 3-bedroom house, sorry, but maybe he wants it on a half plot. The floor area is a factor. So sometimes a client might come in For example, I have a client who wants 4-bedroom house, but he wants to do it on a half plot, and he wants to go just 1 story. And he wants a gym, he wants a swimming pool, he wants an office, everything, basically everything. And even the car park, he wants it for 3 cars on a half plot. That's 45 by 100 plot. So with that, you need to consider all those things. Some of them are quite, designing some spaces like that are quite difficult than others. But it's still a challenge for us architects. That's why we are the professionals. You need to come to us so that we can demarcate it for you properly, for you to enjoy the space without you encountering any problems in the near future. That's why we are there as professionals. Yeah.
So if I came to you, regardless of what size of land I have, and
we'll still do something for you. We'll create the magic. Unless it's not possible, we'll tell you that it's not possible.
All right. So there are instances where you have to tell the client that, this piece of land and what you're looking for doesn't really work.
It doesn't work. So, yeah.
Again, my bits of travel across a few African countries, I see that they integrate a lot of their local materials into their building. So the way they do their doors, their windows, the furniture, it's mainly you actually see their culture around their building. Even if they are building in their capital cities, you actually see this. But you don't really see this in Ghana.
So with Ghana, because we have a lot of diversity here in Ghana. Our culture is diverse. We have, we have a lot of cultures here. We speak multiple local languages. So for you to adapt to one concept will be a very difficult thing. So what we can do is we try to modify what we have and make it suitable for you to live in. We don't really monitor the identity so much. Maybe we can, normally what we do is we put in some accents of some of our cultural things, like maybe some places you find stone cladding. We have a lot of stone terrains here in Ghana. We incorporate that. It's also part of our culture. Some places we use a particular wall paint, maybe the clay. An example is also the Ramdet design too. It's also something that is not, Ramdet is not something that's only found in Africa. It's an international thing. But in a way, whatever materials we find here, we try to put it in our designs. That's the best way we can achieve our identity, because in Ghana, we are very diverse. Yeah, we are very diverse.
Wood. I mean, is it possible to use wood to build? I mean,
yeah, wood is really good. It's really one of our best building materials, but the only problem is it's a little expensive.
Okay.
Yes, so to find somebody using wood for his or her building, that means that person is really comfortable and can afford it. Yes.
So wood compared to brick and mortar, you would go for?
For me personally, I would go for wood.
Okay.
Because I love the earthy kind of, the forest kind of vibe for architecture.
Okay.
But most people will go for block because it's cheaper and much more accessible. With wood, the only problem is transportation, those who work on it and all that. But it's one of the best architectural materials. Yeah.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge working in Ghana as an architect? I mean, dealing with clients. So from what I see, from what goes on in my house, the individual clients are the most stubborn ones to deal with to a large extent. Someone comes today, they want a kitchen here. Tomorrow, the man wants a bedroom here. Tomorrow, the woman wants a bigger kitchen size, and you're done with your design. You have to go. But is that the problem with individual clients?
I would say with being an architect as a whole, you need to be a very patient person, because you are dealing with clients, you are dealing with individuals from different and diverse backgrounds. So basically, you just need to be a patient person. No matter how challenging the client can be, you need to handle it with patience and with care, that's all. Yeah.
All right. If I gave you a design, I mean, I came for a design and that has been handed over to me, does that end our relationship?
No. That's the perception most clients have. So being an architectural professional is like, let me just give an example. It's like um, coming to me to sew a dress. I need to make sure that the dress is fitting and you can wear it to all whatever occasions you are wearing it. And even during the occasion time, I need to be there to make sure that if there's something going on with the dress, I can amend it for you. I can help you amend it. So that's the same thing as an architectural professional. We come in, we do the design. We are the best people who understand what we have done. You can give it to a contractor to start building, but we still need to be there because we understand what we are doing better than the contractor. The contractor will follow what we have done, but it's not everything that we do that the contractor understands. So we need to be there to ensure that whatever we are putting up on your property, on the land, is according to whatever design I've given to you on paper. That's why we do supervision from time to time. Yeah.
So as part of the work that you do, if I'm building, at what point do I need you to come and supervise? Do we agree on timelines so that at every stage of the building, there are specific stages of the building that you need to come in?
I need to be there from inception to finish. Some of us are even there during the finishing process, helping you choose materials, the type of paint, the type of ceilings, the type of installations you want to do and all that. So it's basically from inception to completion.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, I also find out that a lot of the designs coming up now has a lot of glass. And for me, I think that the kind of terrain and environment we find ourselves in, the heat we deal with, the cost of electricity going up almost every month, the cost of fuel going up. I'm wondering if is it that people have so much to spend on power, or people are just copying blindly?
Well, I would say that it's 50-50. People have so much to spend, and they are copying blindly also. So it has to do with, I can afford it, why can't I do it? If my money would be able to do this, I should do it because I've seen it somewhere, maybe in another country. It looks good. I think it will look good on my land. Why not? I have the money. I can do that. Yes. That's you having the ability to spend on that thing and also copying from somewhere which is not our terrain. It's also a factor.
All right. The glass bit, and I'll come back to you as architects. From what we hear, the whites have their kitchens close to their hall because of the kind of environment they're finding.
Yeah.
Again, we come to Ghana. We have most buildings have their kitchens close to their. A few are changing now.
Yeah.
What is if someone comes to you? How do you get them to change that kind of mind?
From my personal experience, what I do whenever I get a client who wants a design, I give them 2 different kitchens. You have your local kitchen and your international standard kitchen. You can pound your fufu, your everything in your local kitchen. Then your international standard, you can use it for display. That's up to your discretion. So I give them 2. Yeah.
So 2 kitchens to beat the whole.
Yes.
Because
to
we also
beat all
think
the
that
drama about the kitchen smell and all that. Yeah.
Wrapping up, I've always wondered what to consider if you are, let's say, a new couple, now having started a family, and you can afford to build a house. Do you build in mind knowing that, okay, eventually we are going to be a family of 5, a family of 4, so I need a 3-bedroom house, or I can start life with a 2-bedroom house, and then in future go for something bigger. And I've also realized that most of the time when people build their first home, that is not their dream home. It's if you can afford, you end up building a dream home as you grow older. Yeah. How do we do this? How do you actually save towards that dream home?
This it has to do with our nature of rent here in Ghana. If with our type of renting system, we rent is it annually and yearly?
Sometimes twice. You pay biannual. You pay every 2 years.
Biannually, yes. Which is it takes a toll on you as a starter family. You are starting your family at fresh and all that. So what our advice, and at times too, if you can afford to build, sometimes the mistakes most young couples make is they build maybe 5-bedroom, their kids end up growing, and the house end up becoming empty. So I would rather advise that whilst you have your kids at a younger stage and you can afford to build, this is what you should do. Maybe you can start with a 3-bedroom house. Since they are younger, they can stay in with you. The kids can have their own room. You and your wife can stay in your own room. That would be beneficial to your finances, and also help you raise your family in a proper way in a decent home. I think we don't need these large houses and all that, because most of the time when we design or when you build, you barely spend time in your own home.
That's true.
Yes. So we need to also consider the square areas and all that, and build to fit our needs. If you are able to build to fit our needs, then we can use the remaining land to do other innovative stuff that will also help us in the near future.
All right. Again, so if you go to Francophone, West Africa, you realize that they build for families, so you can have a whole generation in one building. So maybe the father, ground floor, the son, everybody builds.
Yeah.
How do you plan and design the foundation to take that kind of building?
So a story building, a foundation for a story building is different from a foundation for a residential, like a normal 1-bedroom, 1-story unit, or 2-bedroom, 1-story unit. It's totally different. The higher you go, the deeper the foundation. So you need to do that one. Comes with another set of analysis. That's geotech and all those things. If you want to build one floor for your family, maybe your parents, another floor for another relative, and it goes on and on. There are a lot of prerequisites you need to consider, and even the EPA even has to come in at some point, because you are going deeper. We need to know what's beneath what we see to determine the type of foundation we can produce for you.
Okay.
At times you can put up a structure, maybe 3 floors. Because you didn't do all those analysis, you're having issues in the near future, which is not right. So you need to do all those things as a professional. You need to actually advise the client to do all that. Yeah.
So if I want to build on my piece of land, and Kekeli will probably come and build another floor in future, and that's like in the next 20 plus years, I need to design a foundation now in mind that yes, if in the next 20 years somebody's coming to continue and raise up, and that's allowed. That's structurally
allowed.
That's
you need to put. That's why I always say that when it comes to architecture, when you are designing or planning the spaces, you need to consider the future.
Okay.
Development, things that will spring up in the near future, in the immediate future, in the far future. You need to consider all those things and put them into your design.
All right. Now let's tone out a bit and look at you as a female architect in a space where it's mostly male dominated. How does that come up when you go to the site and there are all men around? How do you carry that?
Well, I would say that it was a little challenging before. You see, with time on the field, you start gaining that tough skin and the confidence that you need to manage men. Some of them are very stubborn, especially the workers. So that tough skin allows you to really be able to manipulate and also find your way, a way to work with them on site without having any issues. So with time and experience, you gain that tough skin. It's not easy. I won't lie to you. It's not easy at all. But we develop the tough skin with time.
All right. I mean, what has been some of the projects you've worked on, and how do you feel when you drive by, you see a building that's been occupied, and you know that I worked on this project? How does that feel like?
So my first project, I did it during after school. I was working with one of my bosses. She had no idea of interior design architecture, so I was basically the one fronting everything, and it was really crazy. Like, that was my first time supervising workers. I won't lie to you. It was really hectic. It got to a point how to even communicate with some of them, because some of them are older than you, as old enough to be your father. Like, they are so old. You don't know how to, when they are doing something wrong, at times you don't know how to communicate with them. You're like, hey, how do I say this so that this man doesn't feel offended and all that? It's all part of it. So anytime I drive, it's around association. What's the name? I forgot the name. I forgot. It's just opposite association.
Okay.
I've done quite a number of projects, so it's quite interesting. Anytime I drive by, it kind of reminds me of the kind of experiences I had, like
Okay.
the challenges I went through. It has never been easy.
I'm sure with the over a decade of experience you have now, if you had to deal with the same kind of situation, you probably would have handled it
Of
differently.
course, right now the tough skin is already there.
All right.
Yes, so we handle it like bosses.
So now I mentioned at the beginning that we are running an arts project that's engaging visual arts students across secondary schools. And I know to do architecture, your maths has to be good. You need to be good at maths. Do they have to take elective maths from the beginning? Do they have to be aware that they can add elective maths to do?
So with me, I never did elective maths. I don't know whether it was my luck or I don't know what happened. A miracle, I don't know. But I never did elective maths. I did visual arts, the basic visual arts.
Okay.
But what I had during my time, I wanted to go to tech. But tech was really based in architecture on e-maths and science, which I never had.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'll say that. Let me just put it out there that I'm one of the first badges of architecture in Central University.
Okay.
So upon hearing that Central University had started architecture,
and it was independent
and
on
it wasn't
science.
so the requirements weren't as tight as tech had theirs. I took advantage of it.
Okay.
And in a way, we need the e-maths because we ended up doing physics.
Okay.
And if you don't have any knowledge of e-maths, you can't do physics.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, if anybody is doing visual arts and is considering doing architecture,
yes,
you have to pay good attention to maths.
Yeah, maths.
Probably
maths and science, basically. When it comes to the science aspect, it's physics.
Physics.
Yes.
Okay. Wrapping up, any female looking at you who wants to be a female architect, or anybody who wants to be an architect, what is your advice to them?
Okay, so I would say that it's not an easy road to walk on. You need to be determined to get where to become an architect. Because even going to school is like you're almost working. You don't have time for anything. So you just need to be determined and make sure that whatever driver that's pushing you to learn architecture, it's something that is really from within. It has to be your passion. If it's not your passion, you can't succeed in it. That is all.
So passion is here.
It has to be your passion. You have to love it. You have to put your everything inside.
All
Otherwise,
right.
you'll never succeed.
All right. So that it's been good having you on the show.
Thank you
I look
very
forward
much.
to seeing you again, and probably when we delve into real estate, we probably will work together.
No problem.
Yeah, and thank you
always
for your
available.
time. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the year.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.